5 o'clock yesterday, I received a phone call that rendered me no longer gainfully employed. Hence my current availability to actually be out riding my bike at 11:30 on a Tuesday. And also the excitement of finally being into the very prestigious group that is a true traditional maritimer. Working a little bit and getting paid by the government to sit around and do nothing. And my nothing is hopefully gonna be as much of this as I possibly can. Well, this is me dealing with like the last few things I need to do with my previous employment. But after this, like stuff like this, like what I'm talking to, you know what I mean. I wonder if these dirt jumps are firmed up yet. Oh. So what does this mean for the channel? Well, nothing besides the opportunity to make a lot more videos than I would have in the past with having to work 10 hours a day. But for this video, this Tinker Tuesday, it gives me the privilege to start a project called the EI MTB. That, if you're unaware, stands for the Employment Insurance Mountain Bike. Notably different than an EMTB. Far more expensive than what we're about to do. Now, when taking on a project with such a prestigious, traditional title as the EI MTB, it only feels right to honor such a tradition by drinking a beer mid-afternoon on a Tuesday while doing so. Unfortunately, I did not come prepared for such a thing, so I hope you can maybe take that up for me. Now, the rundown of what the EI MTB is actually going to be. And it should make sense that this pile of old parts that I had no plans to use for anything in the near future are going to be pretty much what make up the entire project. It's like a fixed income budget build, right? Starting with the fork, we've got the RockShox XC28 that originally came on the white felt of mine, which by chance just so happens to be exactly what the EI MTB is going to be. Yeah, we're basically just returning the entire steer area and frame back to stock. Pretty glad I didn't get rid of that. The original 180 millimeter rotor that came on the stock wheel set is what's going to go back on the front. This thing's actually not going to break too bad. The stem and bars, well, they came off the Schwinn. I just did a big old swap-a-rooney between the drivetrain. NX came off the Schwinn. 10-speed chain, 10-speed 11 through to 36 cassette. Hardly the widest range cassette that you can get. However, I have this, so we're going to use it. Headset is just kind of like a mishmash of headset parts that I have left over. We're going to use the wheels that came on the Poseidon originally. As a matter of fact, we're going to use the rotor that came on the Poseidon for the rear. These are probably as good as what came on the felt originally when it was brand new. Yeah, totally reliable, brand new wheel set that got used for one video. There might be 15 to 20 kilometers on these. So basically a new wheel set. That the other one is sitting currently sitting on the red Crux. I have to take it off. And tires. Tires are a set of tubeless Kendas that were donated to me by a friend of mine. The brakes are these Elixirs that were always on that bike. I'm glad I didn't do anything stupid like cut them. Okay, tires on wheels. Giving up one mountain bike to kind of sacrifice its parts for everything else and the greater good of all the other bikes in the shed is probably going to be one of the better moves that I've made in a long time. Almost didn't fit a 10-speed cassette on this free hub body, but maybe there was something in the way or something, I don't know. But it tightened down, everything's engaging the way it should. It's not going to go anywhere. Not all free hub bodies made equally. Okay, with those headaches out of the way, putting tires on is probably my least favorite thing to do, so I wanted to get out of the way first. I can start to kind of put everything else together. So, a little bit of grease on the headset bearing races. This thing kind of had the grossest grease of all time that I found just sort of hanging out in my dad's garage last time I was home riding with this fork on, and I was worried about the noise that was coming out of the headset. Glad to be rid of that grease now, throwing on this nice thick heavy industrial, very sticky yet slippery grease for the headset bearings, so that this thing hopefully remains as quiet as possible with, you know, everything that we're putting on. This is going to be weird to say, but I think I like the way the NX cranks look better on this than the X1s did. Now a little bit of roadkill zip tie mastery will allow you, if you've lost the thing that cinches down your front brake hose, or if you've got a fork like this that doesn't actually have a spot for it, 2 zip ties, one in this direction, you know, parallel to the hose itself, and another that wraps around this and grabs the hose, will create a fairly good makeshift version of these hose tie downs. Kind of keep it exactly where it's supposed to be. That's somewhat tolerable for a 3-year-old, 4-year-old rotor. And when all else fails and you still end up with noise like this, you could just blame it on the cost of the parts that you're using. Blame it on its age, blame it on its usage, blame it on its condition. Hell, blame it on the fact that you're on EI and you can't afford any better. You know, you kind of get this stuff with these cheap parts. What can you do? It's all about reusing parts that aren't in too bad a shape yet. So this cable that was living on this bike before, it's going to continue. There you have it. The EI MTB Special. Yeah, alright. If this was the only bike I had to ride in the situation that I now find myself, and many probably also find themselves in, totally satisfied. Be no problem. It really is no different than the exact bike that I was riding when I first got into cross-country mountain bike racing, when I first really started to enjoy mountain biking. I bought this bike with this fork, a very similar set of wheels, probably a slightly nicer set of tires, and I swapped it over to pretty well this exact drivetrain. The only difference being that the NX from the Schwinn is on this now, and the X1, which might not even be lighter, is on the Schwinn now. So yeah, of course I could ride this. I did it for 3 years. It's just nice to know that my neurotic need for keeping and hoarding every single somewhat worn out, maybe kind of broken part can be put back together into something that is completely and utterly usable and could get someone else through times like this that we're all going through. Which is likely what this bike's next step is. A good friend of mine, Jeff, has been wanting a mountain bike for a long time, and with the lack of employment and the extensive amount of time on everyone's hands right now. This thing will get put to good use. I just wish I had bigger tires for it. It looks so good with big tires in it. It's just too bad how much of the chainstay it rubbed away. Okay, with all that said, I hope you enjoyed this Tinker Tuesday with all the parts for mountain bikes that I had left over to build one usable mountain bike. If you want to support the channel through Patreon, if you're in a position to be able to do that, considering I don't have a job anymore, please do so in the link below. Or you could take your chances and try and order a shirt and see if shipping is still going on. That link is below as well. Or if you just need something through Amazon, you can click on any of the links that are in the description below. Anything you purchase after going through there, proceeds of your purchases do come to the channel and myself. Or just keep watching videos. All of it is wildly helpful, because I think this just kinda, for the foreseeable future, became my full-time job.